Today's episode of the Chickpeeps is sponsored by the lovely people at Forager Project. Family owned and operated, Forager Project crafts 100% organic, dairy-free yogurts, kefirs, milks, and sour cream using their hero ingredient, organic cashews, which makes the creamiest, most delicious base for all its products. I used to eat them when I was living in LA, and they do. Honestly, they make the tastiest and most indulgent plant-based yogurts. I would get on a plane for them if not for the global lockdown restrictions. So Robbie has been getting all the Forager products to sample this season, and he's really taunting me with them. It makes group meetings for Chickpeeps very frustrating. However, for our US-based podcast listeners, you're in luck. You can avail of their delicious products, and Forager is offering a limited offer coupon for a free cup of yogurt at www.foragerproject.com/cultivate health. And while you're there, check out hundreds of delicious and easy to make dairy-free recipes. So you can avail of your free yogurt and you'll be treating yourself and supporting the podcast. That's foragerproject.com/cultivate health. Forager Project is always organic and always plant-based. Let good food be. Hello Chickpeeps, you're listening to Season 3, Episode 17 of the Chickpeeps. I'm your host, Ivana Lynch.
And I'm your host, Tyler Starr. And the Chickpeeps is your friendly weekly vegan podcast. And today's guest is singer, musician, and lead singer of my favorite band, AFI, the dazzling Davey Havok.
We're going to delve deep here on Chickpeeps.
Okay.
We're going to get into the drug habits of cereal mascots.
God.
I mean, the Trix rabbit is high as a kite.
Eat your veggies, not your friends. It's not hard to be vegan. The Chickpeeps.
So today we have a very special guest for you peeps. For any of you music nerds or punk fans, Davey needs no introduction and you're probably just waiting for us to get to the interview. But for anyone who's maybe not so familiar with the American punk scene, here's a bit about Davey's art and work. The lead singer of AFI, Blaqk Audio, XTRMST and Dreamcar, Davey Havok has released over 16 records, acted on screen, and performed on Broadway. He's also a published author of Pop Kids and Love Fast Los Angeles, and a weekly co-host on SiriusXM's Volume West with Lindsay Parker. Born in New York and raised east of the San Francisco Bay by vegan non-believers, he currently resides in a Southern California institution of higher learning. Davey follows a straight-edge lifestyle, meaning he rejects the use of recreational drugs, alcohol, and tobacco products. And he's been vegan for decades and has posed in eye-catching PETA ads, including one proclaiming he'd rather go naked than wear leather. His band AFI are set to release a new album, Bodies, later on in 2021. Not only all that, listeners, but Davey is also responsible for creating a vegan in our very own Tyler. So, Tyler, I'd love to know, when did you discover Davey, and what was it about him that inspired you on so many levels, not least of them veganism?
Yeah, I discovered AFI in the mid-2000s, like so many people did, and I was looking for somebody who I wanted to connect with. I had no idea, like going into being an AFI fan, that Davey himself also followed a straight edge lifestyle. I didn't know what straight edge was until, I got into AFI, but I knew that philosophically I didn't like the same things that straight edge stood for. So like whatever, straight edge was against alcohol and tobacco products and, recreational drugs, I felt the exact same way. I just didn't know that the label straight edge existed. Mm-hmm. And then when I found out that, Davey and Hunter in the band were also vegan and that the other two members were also vegetarian, that really spoke to me as well, because it really did show that you could be like this cool person and still care and be kind. And that's what I was looking for when I was in high school, when I discovered them.
I love that. Such a great role model. And yeah. Tyler, I'm so grateful that you introduced me and the podcast to him, because he's such a fascinating person. I was watching his interviews and I was just like, what planet is this person from, and can I go there? He really thinks outside of the box, and that's what I love about veganism as well. It forces you to question things and to really get to the truth of who you are. So yeah, really grateful for you introducing us to Davey. So listeners, without further ado, here's our interview with Davey Havok. Well, Davey, thank you so much for being on the Chickpeeps. We're so delighted to have you. And I just need to let you know, you've created Tyler the Vegan. And I don't know if you realize, but he is such a powerful activist, and he veganizes so many people. He's so educated on every part of the animal rights movement. Like, he's a huge asset to the podcast, and you're basically like his vegan fairy godfather, if you don't mind me calling you that.
Wow, I am honored for the title. I am honored by the title. And Tyler, I had really little idea that was the case.
Oh man!
Thank you so much. If I have somehow contributed to your wonderful activism, the creation of this podcast, and the countless other things you've done for animals, I am very grateful for whatever small thing I did to encourage you to take that path. Tyler, thank you. And thank you for saying.
I can't stop smiling. That's
me neither.
A whole year made.
But it is significant, because I think people think like, oh, I'm vegan, because you're obviously someone who does it for you because it feels good in your soul, and you kind of don't realize about the ripple effects it has. But I can just tell you, you've created a very powerful ripple in this person by speaking your truth. So that's all I want to say. It's awesome.
It's really great for me to know, because I tend to live by example, and in forums like this where I'm asked about my beliefs, I'm happy to speak about them, but I tend not to really share a lot of my personal beliefs and personal ethics without cue. But I live a certain way that I like to live, that I think this is a positive way to live. And I would hope that by example, some people would see that and perhaps be influenced by it. And those instances when I learn of situations like Tyler's, where the influence has caused such a positive effect on really not only the individual like Tyler, but thereby, because Tyler is such a great person, has spread that positive effect to the world in an instance like this by, becoming a vegan and simply becoming, as we know, simply becoming a vegan does so much for the world without actually going even further. Just the act of taking animal products out of your diet saves so many animals and does so much for the planet, as we all know. But that simple step, to encourage someone to take that simple step, is something that I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to do if it ever happens. So with Tyler, it's even better. We've created a warrior.
Thanks.
We've created a warrior, definitely. Yeah. And like part of the Chickpeeps, because Tyler, you bring so much to the podcast. So we have a lot to be thankful for. So Tyler, if you would like to start off with the quickfire questions.
Yeah. So we do this with every guest, Davey, where, just to kind of familiarize our listeners with our guest, we have some really fun quickfire questions. So number one, if you could be any animal, who would you be?
Who would I be? I would be... I would certainly be a feline of some sort. I don't know that I would pick a pre-existing feline. Perhaps a species. Perhaps a tiger.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
I mean, they're gorgeous and elegant and mystical. So perhaps I would be a tiger. No, not a famous tiger. Not necessarily like Tony. He's not really doing much good.
What is that guy up to these days?
Sugar, man. Just a lot of refined sugar and carbs. Simple carbs. Was he on cocaine? I think maybe he was on coke.
Is he? Is Tony?
Yeah. Now that I think about it as an adult, that those white crystals. Maybe it was crystal.
Oh,
not straight edge.
That wasn't a perspective I expected today.
Yeah. We're gonna delve deep here on Chickpeeps.
Okay.
We're gonna get into the drug habits of cereal mascots.
God.
I mean, the Trix rabbit is high as a kite.
Oh,
right?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
Trix
time.
rabbit. I don't think we have that in the UK.
That's probably for the
Tricks
best because
kids.
it shouldn't be consumed.
We had the Cocoa Pop guy. Do you know the Cocoa Pop monkey?
Oh
No.
yeah, I think he was later here in the States. I mean, I'm quite old. When I was growing up, there wasn't cereal at all, just oats. But the monkey appeared later. There was this rabbit, this really kind of tweaked out rabbit that was the representative of a cereal that, it was appropriate because the cereal would tweak you out if you ate it. It was just like vibrantly colored corn pops, little balls that were multi-rainbow colored and were kind of just all the same tangy sweet color, but ostensibly one was lemon and one was grape and one was orange, and I don't know what the flavors were. Tyler?
Wow.
I mean, you're basically saying, they later changed it to where the shape of the cereal matches the flavor.
That's right. Yeah. Initially, they were just little spears, like traditional cereal puffs, pops. And then, then they kind of made a little stamp out of them into oranges and bananas and grapes and cherries and stuff.
Wowee.
Watermelon. Yeah.
Gosh.
But more about me. Go on, Tyler.
Yeah. So speaking of food, what's your go-to vegan snack? Obviously not cereal.
Well, I love cereal. Actually, if we're going to go cereal, there is a great vegan cereal that's called Catalina Crunch. That is very, very low sugar, high protein. I don't think there's very little carbs in it, and they just released a chocolate peanut butter that's really good. But again, this does not live in the world of the mainstream cereals, many of which are vegan and are animal friendly, but in my opinion, still shouldn't be consumed for the sake of your body. But for the sake of the animals, if you're gonna choose, if you don't care about your body, go ahead and eat the tricks. But this Keto Crunch, delicious. It's one of my go-to snacks, but it's very luxurious. It comes in a very small bag, and it's the price of a car. And the serving is half of the bag. There is Raw Rev Glow makes protein bars. It's a smaller protein bar company. It's a bar company, but those bars, I always have them on hand. I'll have them I carry a satchel when back in the world where travel was something that was possible. In my sack, I would have Raw Rev Glow peanut butter bars. I get the salted peanut butter, sea salt and peanut butter. It's my flavor. There's lots of other flavors. There's like a chocolate peanut butter. There's some with chocolate chips. I just kind of go for the purest.
Great. Lots of great recommendations there. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Next question. What is one word to describe your first impression of vegans? So before you were vegan.
Trendy.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Trendy. Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that because I was thinking about this the other day, being that I was talking to my manager, and I've tried to convince my managers to go vegan on a few occasions, and they are somewhat resistant. They're sympathizers, but really ingrained as people are in their traditions. And one of my managers has actually confided in me. He likes to hold it to the chest that he is actually making an effort this time.
Nice.
And he asked me a lot of questions about it. And all of the questions. They're the age-old questions, which are shocking to us, but they are still the questions that people ask. Where do you get your protein? Is soy going to give me breasts? And it's like, I think about that. And if soy were to give you breasts, just think of how affordable it would be to get breasts.
Yeah. How many people
you could avoid surgery.
Yeah.
And it's just safe, but that's a fallacy, as we know. Anyways, I was thinking about that, and I had sent him. Veg News released this book that's a really great guide to the steps that it takes to live a vegan life and consume a vegan diet, and it's very gentle and it's very direct and consumable. And
is this Fabulous Vegan?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Jasmine's book. We were just talking about that.
Okay, so Jasmine.
A few episodes.
Yeah, it's really great. So if I would recommend the book, they were kind enough to send it to me, and I was flipping through it, and I realized it covers everything from what you can eat and recipes that you can make that are really easy, and the ethics behind it, and fashion and sports and bodybuilding, and it's all in there, and it's very direct and as I said, easy to consume. And so I bought my manager this book, and I sent it to him, and he said, "I wish all vegans were like you."
Aww.
And so that goes back to me thinking about when I was growing up, and I said to him, I understand it took me 2 years longer to become vegan because of the environment that I was in, which was a very oppressive, trendy vegan environment. And when I was thinking back on that, there was the aspect of it that was, very stuffy and very political and very conservative and very cranky. That was, somewhat unappealing, but I understood the politics of it. And, I was cranky in my own way, still am. But really for me, as I was thinking back on it, what really upset me was because at the time in the early 90s, when it was very trendy as it is now, I saw a lot of people doing it for the wrong reasons, doing it for an identity, not actually believing in what they were saying, not actually being vegan, but just talking about being vegan and wearing a shirt that says that they're vegan. And it was really an identity. And so I was loath to be a part of it. I felt a lot of it was disingenuous and that it was trendy. And growing up, it was always tough for me to accept trends. And thinking about it as an adult, boy, was I wrong. Because not it's not only is it something that I regret not, growing up living as a vegan, but I do regret not becoming vegan earlier. But in my mindset and thinking back to that mindset, the reality is with this choice, with choosing a compassionate lifestyle and a compassionate diet, I think about this because this is, of course, happening now. This is very relevant. Have you seen these vegan club posters?
Yeah.
Okay, so here in the States, Tyler's seen them. I imagine they haven't gotten to England, but here in the States, especially in Southern California, there is an artist, LeFou, who creates these beautiful vegan club posters that are a nod to Fight Club. So it's the font and it's the black and white imagery, but it's with known vegans. It's with known animal rights people. So you'll see Joaquin Phoenix on there. You'll see Moby. I am honored to be on these, and they're wheat paste and they're everywhere. But the majority of these celebrities that are on the posters aren't vegan. They're not even vegetarian, and so it makes me kind of crazy. Like, you see it, I'm like, I've seen you eat fish. I've seen you eat dairy, and I have to step back and think, okay, that person is disingenuous, but that poster of that person, for the people who don't know that they're disingenuous, might be inspired to actually help animals. And even if they're disingenuous about what they're saying they're doing, they can create a better world by lying. So in that regard, and it's an interesting balance, because I have such a problem with people being dishonest. But in that regard, the dishonesty is really only doing themselves harm and doing the harm that that they're doing terrible. It would be better if they were vegan, of course. Of course.
Yes.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think.
I sort of felt
So
that
anyways,
way.
trendy.
It was funny when you said that. I'm sort of getting more into the punk mindset now from talking to you guys, because when you said that, I was like, oh, how nice. Trendy. That sounds, but you're like, no, trendy is like not a positive thing. Trendy is like what you push against. So I get it.
Kind of. But that's what I'm going back to. I suppose it does depend. Like, we are, as you just pointed out, growing up in the community, and trendy is something that you press against. But dogmatically, if you become dogmatic about that, then you're pushing against veganism. That's what I did, and that's wrong. So like going against not becoming vegan, not embracing compassion for all creatures because people who are disingenuous about it or who are uncool are doing it is harmful. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah.
So
it's holding you back from being your true self. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a little bit more of a fun one. Coffee or tea?
Do I have to pick?
Yeah, you have to pick. Both?
Both. Not at once. Right. I pick both. I really enjoy both. There's such a variety of both to enjoy in this life. Let's have it all, Tyler.
Cool. Okay.
Well,
we'll let it slide.
They're both vegan, so you can have them both.
Yes.
Yeah.
None with animal milk.
We'll let it slide this
None
time.
with animal milk.
Another kind of fun one. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Honestly, I'm obsessive. This is embarrassing to say. The first thing I want to do is get up and work out. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. So that's not really answering the philosophical question that you're asking.
No, it's honest though.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But it's very literal. I get up, I stretch, I meditate, and I work out if left to my own devices, which I have been for the past year here in lockdown. So I guess I stretch and meditate before I do any of that, and I brush my teeth and whatnot. But I really enjoy working out, and I also hate it. It is a love-hate relationship.
As it always is.
I am obsessive about it. I think in a slightly unhealthy way. I've become better about taking days off. I took a day off yesterday.
Hey, there you go.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. The body likes a day off.
It's so great though, because isn't it like, you guys probably don't know who this is, but have you heard of Blind Boy?
No.
He's a podcaster. He's such a great podcaster. But anyway, he talked about how he goes running first thing in the morning, and it just makes him feel like he can conquer anything else, because it's like such a crazy physical challenge, especially to go out in the cold and run
Oh.
like 10K, what he does. It just makes everything else seem a little bit easier. I thought that was a good way of looking at it.
Sure.
That's a great way of looking at it. And it is easier to do anything but virtually anything but that he has for the rest of his day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like running in the cold. Boy, it's been cold here in Los Angeles, and we had a week last week of summery weather as we usually have. And so I got back out there and I was running out there, but it's hard for me to do it in the cold. I prefer to work out. I do miss a gym very much. I'm a gym rat, if you will, or a gym cat if my wishes from Chickpeeps comes true
There you go.
someday. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, it's something that really has physical, positive physical effects, not just aesthetic and not just strength, but the mind-body connection is trite to say, but it's really something that's scientifically proven. And I recently learned that you actually can increase brain matter, and by cardio does it more.
Whoa.
Like 30 minutes of cardio stimulates brain growth.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to start
You
running
get smarter by working out. That's really cool.
Which I need.
more.
Evie, I need.
Stop.
The brain.
No, I
has
don't think so. You're such a
deteriorated.
deep thinker.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't
We've
know.
read those lyrics. Come on.
Oh, Tyler, thanks.
Um,
Thanks for reading them.
Speaking of expanding your mind, do you have what would be your favorite vegan resource for anyone who's new to veganism, like a movie, documentary, a book?
Wow, that is a good question, because there are probably far greater resources than what really inspired me, which was Diet for a New America. And I knew that once I read the book, there would be no question about me wanting to be vegan, because internally I had that truth in me, knowing that it is absolutely unacceptable to torture and murder animals simply for our enjoyment. And I knew that it was something that should be happening in my life. And so I put off reading the book. But then I read A Diet for a New America, which the first half explains the horrors of the factory farms. And I'm sorry, it includes it. It endears you to animals. It shows you how these sentient creatures are very feeling, and how, they have relationships with each other. They communicate with each other. Some of them have, intelligence levels that equate that of young human beings. And then it goes into the horrors of the factory farm. And then it explains the healthful benefits of a plant-based diet and what we are consuming if we are consuming animal products. And after reading that, I was done.
Wow.
And I was it was really, I regret not reading it earlier, because as I suspected, once I had read it, though I was done, I wasn't begrudgingly done. After having read that book, there was no question. I was happy to eschew all consumption of animal products, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself otherwise. And I also, just a little anecdotes about, did you know that all cow's milk contains pus? There's pus in cow's milk. I'm out. I'm out on that. And it's, the first step obviously is, why are we drinking cow's milk? That should be enough. But being raised as we are, where we're told by the parenting people, the adults, when you're thrust into this world and you don't know where you are, you don't know what's going on, and all you have is this godlike human saying this is right and this is wrong. When they say to you, you drink milk, you don't question drinking milk from a cow. And when they say to you, when you suddenly have the epiphany, the horrifying epiphany that a hot dog is a pig, and you like pigs, and the pigs are in all the picture books, and the hamburger is the cow, and you like the cows, and you're taught to love the cows, but you're taught to eat the cows, and you say, but this is a cow, how does it become? And they get all nervous and say, oh, well, they kill it. And you're horrified. And then the adult says, no, but it's okay. You know as a child that it's not okay, but you believe the adult, and then you push it down.
And it tastes good, so you're like, okay.
Right, and it tastes good. And it's funny, I had, again, growing up years ago, I remember so many vegans saying, no, it doesn't. Meat doesn't, because I'd say it just tastes so good. And they'd say, no, it doesn't. What you're tasting is the seasoning, is how we prepare the meat. And you can do that to vegetables. And meat actually doesn't taste good. That's learned behavior. And I always thought that was asinine. As a child, I'm like, nah, it tastes delicious. And I don't know the last time you guys accidentally had a piece of meat in your mouth, but I've had it happen. Oh man, when did it happen to me? Maybe 6 years ago. A mainstream restaurant that offered vegan food, fed me meat, and man, wow, that does not taste like food, boy.
Really?
So chewy.
Oh, Evie, it really, really tastes like, and obviously 5 years ago, I'm speaking from the point of being I don't know how many decades long of veganism, but that happened to me maybe like 6 years in as well. And meat, flesh tastes dead. It tastes rotten. Once you've stepped away from it long enough, and so does animal milk. It's nuts. Like if I've accidentally been given an animal milk latte, a cow's milk latte, on 1 or 2 occasions, and that tastes sour and minty.
Yeah. Yuck.
Yeah, it's got like a minty, a springy but sour.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's conclude this quick fire round, which honestly was so thought provoking and not quick, but it was fascinating. But you have to be quick on this one. It's in the question. Okay. One word to describe your experience of veganism.
Life-changing. That's 2 words.
That's lovely though. It has a hyphen.
Yeah, it's hyphenated.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Great.
This episode of the Chickpeeps is brought to you in partnership with Vivo Life. As you all already know by now, switching to a plant-based diet is the single most important lifestyle change you can make to improve your health, stand up for animals, and protect the planet. But for a lot of people, just getting started is the hardest part. So to kick off 2021, our sponsors, Vivo Life, have launched the Plant-Based Pledge to make switching to a plant-based diet easier, healthier, and more enjoyable than ever. The Plant-Based Pledge is exactly what it sounds like. You commit to giving a plant-based diet a go, even if it's just for a limited time or a few days a week. And Vivo Life will introduce you to a community of other people all doing the same thing, and offer you support and encouragement to help you thrive while you're doing it. To take the plant-based pledge, all you need to do is sign up at vivolife.com, and you instantly gain access to their hub of resources, and it's all completely free. In the hub, you'll have access to exclusive videos, tutorials, and recipes. You'll also get weekly shopping lists, recipe ebooks, meal plans, and checklists to keep you on track. Not to mention live streams with ambassadors, athletes, and educators. The plant-based pledge is perfect for people just starting out on their vegan journey, but we'd also recommend it to long-time vegans looking to focus on their health or discover a more balanced plant-based diet. And again, the plant-based pledge is completely free. Simply go to vivolife.com to sign up. And don't forget, as a listener of the Chickpeeps, you get a 10% discount on your first order of any Vivo Life products by using the discount code Chickpeeps10 at checkout.
Let's get into your vegan story. How long have you been vegan, and what inspired? Well, I suppose it was that book, but was there anything else that inspired you to follow the lifestyle?
It was my community. So luckily, though I was surrounded by people who were becoming vegan based on a trend, I was surrounded by people who were becoming vegan, and there was a lot of pressure to be vegan from the greater community that I was in, and specifically my peers who I did respect. And luckily, I had really good friends. My friend RJ Limepeter, who owns and opened the first all vegan coffee roaster in, I think it was the first in the country. Was there one before Timeless?
It's the only one that I know. Like, Timeless is the one that is regarded as the first.
Yeah, I think he opened the first one recently, and he's younger than me. RJ's, I don't know, maybe 4 years younger than me, but we were good friends, and we come from the punk rock scene, and specifically the straight edge community. For those of you who don't know, straight edge is a movement that came out of punk rock in the early 80s that was a backlash to the self-destructive nature of the punk rock community and stands against recreational drug use. And as that movement grew, it embraced vegetarianism and then veganism. And then there became facets of that movement known as the vegan straight edge, which I identify as, for better or worse these days, but I am vegan. I am vegan straight edge. And it was that community, and growing up in the Bay Area, in the East Bay, it was a very, very forward-thinking punk community. It was very left-wing. It was about animal rights. It was about women's rights. It was about LGBTQ+ rights, even though that acronym didn't exist at the time. You know, it was anti-fascist. And it was just very thoughtful and forward thinking. So of course, animal rights was a part of that. And I was given so much literature and so much knowledge about the movement. And as I said earlier, I didn't want to be a part of it because it was so trendy. You know, I was just being contrary. And my good friend RJ, who has done this for me on many occasions about my behavior, he said, "Look, stop being an idiot." Like,
Wow.
like this is right. You know this is right. It doesn't matter what these other people do. I know you, and you know this is right, and this is right. So all them. And I read the book, and he was right. He was right. I knew he was right, and I knew I was right, and it was right.
A little bit of tough love, huh?
Yeah, he'll give me the tough love.
Oh.
He'll give me the tough love. It's actually, I have RJ to thank for me finally making the step to, after years and years of hating my tattoos, to black them out.
Right.
He gets credit for that, which was the right decision.
Your blackouts look really nice, if I can just
Thanks,
say.
Tyler.
Yeah, they look very
Thank
cool.
you. Have you not seen? You've seen him in person.
I've seen them, yeah.
You must have. Yeah.
Was that
They're
a
old
thing?
now.
Did you have to find, because you have to find vegan ink and all that?
I think that's a fallacy, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Tyler?
Okay.
I don't know.
Oftentimes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was like some kind of bone jar that would be, it's like the sugar debate where, yes, back in the day, there was, sugar that was processed through bone jar and that kind of
You
thing.
could find it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
nowadays, you would be hard pressed, I think, to find tattoo ink that isn't vegan. So,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's obsolete and was rare in the beginning. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, Davey, that you think, straight edge and veganism goes so well, like hand in hand? What is it about those two philosophies that, so many people do identify as both vegan, straight edge?
Well, I think it's about living the best life you can and respect. So veganism and straight edge are both based on respect for yourself and respect for others. So respect for yourself, as far as straight edge lifestyle goes, by not consciously consuming poisons for recreation. Veganism, respect for yourself, not consciously consuming poisons, things that harmful for your body for recreational purposes because you think they taste good or they give you comfort. And respect for others, straight edge lifestyle, if you're intoxicated, if you're under the effects of mind altering drugs, you will behave in some ways that you might not be able to control. And if you harm yourself, that harms others that are close to you. You may harm others in ways that you wouldn't if you had control of yourself. Or if you had control of your bodies. You destroying your own body affects those around you who care about you. Respect for others in veganism goes without saying, the innocent lives that are completely destroyed because of our selfishness. The thread, it's almost direct. It's hard to, it's something that it's difficult for me to understand when my friends, which are few, are straight edge but not vegan.
Right.
It's hard for me I don't understand it. I better understand being vegan and not straight edge.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about those labels? Because, you're an artist, and I always think with artists, you're always going to be evolving. It's about being creative and fluid. And to me, sometimes I'm like, are labels limiting or are they empowering? And well, what do you find as an artist? And you're obviously somebody who's found a way to be expressive with those labels, but does it ever feel confining?
Not particularly those labels, because those labels don't directly relate to the art that I create. They indirectly relate to the art I create because those labels represent my belief system and my values. And of course, my values and my beliefs are part of what I create. They go into my artistry, but those labels are separate from the music that I've created, with the exception of XTRMST, which was an outlet. So it's a good question you asked, Evy. Probably for the reason that the questions that you bring up here, most of the music that I've created did not identify as a vegan. We were not vegan straight edge. AFI is not a vegan straight edge band. Dreamcar is not a vegan straight edge band. Blaqk Audio is not a vegan straight edge duo. But because those beliefs were very important to Jade and I, at least the straight edge beliefs, and we had never created music based on those beliefs, which many bands use those politics, as we've discussed Earth Crisis, as a means for inspiration for the creation, and they use their music as a means to spread those values. And we had never done that, and we felt really passionate about it. A few years back, we made a straight edge band just for that reason, and we made one album, and it's under the name XTRMST, and it's brutal, nightmarish hardcore, and the themes are all straight edge themes. And we did it, and I don't feel a need to do it again. And the reason I don't feel a need to do it again is because it's very singular. That thought is very singular. As for the rest of my art, it comes into play, but it's not confining. And there is empowerment in the label philosophically, and specifically, well, both really, when you think about it, because we as a species are tribal. And the label creates an identifiable community, and it creates an identifiable tribe. And that tribe supports each other, especially when our tribe, the vegan tribe, if we're speaking of that, is such a minority. And, is perceived as fringe, and is perceived as flaky, and is perceived as hippie, and is perceived
often derided.
We're so derided. So that label does bring strength, because it does create a stance, and it does create a community. But of course, with all labels, it can get dodgy, because it can become confining, and then there can be gray areas, and we've seen them in veganism.
So speaking of both your art and your vegan ethics, I wondered, how do you find the balance between your art and your activism? Are they two separate callings for you, or is it important that these two aspects of your work complement each other?
Well, they naturally complement each other, because what I believe is imbued in my writing. To be very specific, the lyrics that I create, I am very lucky that all of the groups that I'm in have given me the liberty to express myself freely, and thus I come out in those words. And part of my beliefs, part of my ethics, are part of who I am. So the tinges of that will show through inevitably in my perspective as I'm writing. If I am writing from the first perspective, even if I'm not writing from the first perspective, it's still me writing it. So I can't detach who I am entirely, although it's nice to try, and I have a difficult time doing that. But I'm always happy to talk about my beliefs if asked. But because with all of my art, specifically with all of it, with AFI, with Blaqk Audio, with Dreamcar, I'm but one person in a group that's creating. So I have very strong beliefs, and I have very strong opinions, and those aren't the exact same opinions as anyone in my band. They're not the exact same opinions probably of either of you. We all have very specific beliefs, and if I'm asked about them, I love to talk about them, but I generally don't go out of my way in the forum of music and art to really push my personal beliefs, other than XTRMST, which was a forum for that specific reason. When I have opportunities like this, I love to take them. I love to take them, because separate from any of the creations, not promoting new music or being affiliated with this or that piece of work, to be able to talk about these aspects of my life and my beliefs is really invigorating, because as we said earlier, I feel if there are a handful of people who are interested in what I have to say and how I live, and if something I say can inspire them to pursue a compassionate life, then the world is objectively a better place for it.
Yeah,
nice.
So interesting.
Davey, you're always, well, before the pandemic, I say this, but you were always kind of on the road, whether it's with AFI, Blaqk Audio, Dreamcar, whatever. And as one of those bands, or in many of those bands who are constantly on the road and touring, and somebody who's been vegan for, like you said, decades, what kind of changes have you noticed around the country when it comes to eating vegan on the road? And do you find it easier than it was back then?
This is the nirvana of veganism. I mean, we are the roaring 20s of plant-based eating. What a change there has been. It is, to use the word again, it is trendy again, and thankfully it's trendy because it is spreading. I have not partaken in vegan fast food, but I am so glad that it exists,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can go to Burger King in the United States. Now, the UK was on board much earlier as far as the Burger Kings and the McDonald's go with that.
Mhm.
Now, I don't support fast food, but I support them giving vegan options. And if they had all vegan options, that'd be fine with me.
Yeah.
Then I would support fast food. Maybe that's a whole nother topic. But to be able, when I was touring in a van in the 90s as a vegan, it was a food desert. We would eat cereals, like we get grocery store and soy milk from, we get cereal and soy milk from grocery stores, and sit in the parking lot and pour the cereal in our mouth, pour the soy milk in our mouth, and eat it that way because you're in a van, so you don't have utensils or bowls, and
Right.
you're not going to buy them. So I take it back. I did eat fast food because Taco Bell, which at this time, there were only a few in the country. Taco Bell was not a major chain. So we knew what states had Taco Bell in them. And we had $5 to eat a day. And we knew we could get 2 burritos that were vegan from Taco Bell's. And we would go through these Taco Bell deserts. And that's when you're at the gas station and you're eating like bean dip out of a can with Fritos.
Right.
So it wasn't entirely healthy, but it was healthier than eating animal products.
Mm.
And now there, eventually Happy Cow was created when the internet
Best.
happened, and there is Happy Cow, and if you could get somewhere on an internet, you could maybe find a vegetarian restaurant that had a tahini and a tofu somewhere and a brown rice, which really is kind of all I want these days anyway. But across the country, there are active vegan restaurants in every metropolis. It's small towns. It is so much different, and it's really, really inspiring, the changes that we're seeing culturally. And the athletes on our team, thank you. Thank you. Because you know who people don't care about? Fringe rock singers. You know who people do care about? Sports players.
That's
Sports
funny.
players. They don't care about the guy who thinks drinking sucks. They
Yeah.
care about the guy who's shooting hoops.
That's not you.
And
What are you
when-
talking about?
It's not me. It's not me. No, never.
Yeah.
That's not true. Actually, when I was young, my parents tried to put me into sports, to try to give me friends and, make me belong. And I did at one point play in a local like basketball. One year they had me playing basketball. It was ridiculous. And at the end of the year, the league gave out trophies, and I got a giant trophy that they gave out every year to, it was basically, you tried.
Oh,
Oh no, participation one?
Yeah. It was like, you were out there, and you were out there, man. You sure were out there.
You were there.
You were
Every
seen.
time you were out there. You
Jeez.
jingly bracelets.
Yeah. It's framed somewhere in your house right now, right? You still have
Yeah, it's actually the centerpiece of the living room here.
Good,
I've turned it into a fountain.
it? Ties the whole room together.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
okay. So switching topics, quite dramatically, actually. Tyler, I'm just looking at how we've structured these questions. But you starred in a few PETA campaigns and ads, and one of them you did, which I just love this campaign, the I'd rather go naked than wear leather ad. I don't think we've actually had any guests on who've done this campaign. And it's just such a radical, awesome campaign. What was that experience like for you, and what made you do such an eye-catching ad?
Well, I always love the campaign because of what you just said. It's very eye-catching. It's very provocative. It gets people's attention. And I was honored to be a male that's asked to do it. Apparently, it's very difficult for them to find males to do it, which I
Really?
find shocking because I really had a struggle to put clothes on for this interview for you guys out of respect.
Oh man.
I am. It is not hard for me to get my clothes off. So I was honored to be a part of it because I think not only is it a provocative campaign, but specifically what they wanted me for was the leather commentary, which a lot of people don't understand where leather comes from, and that it is the number one moneymaker for the slaughter industry, for the cattle industry. They're making more money off the leather than they are off the flesh that they sell. So supporting leather really, really, really does. It's not a byproduct. It's not a byproduct. It's the main product. That's their moneymaker. It's not gonna happen anyway. And I was really happy to be a part of that and be able to speak on that and be able to have a visual that is provocative and causes people to think about that aspect of consumption. It was a really fun shoot. Tyler, you weren't there, right?
I was not. No, I saw I was part of the team that got to see the ad and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It looks beautiful. I was really happy with the way it's looked. The body double that they had for me was pretty good. Yeah, I didn't want them to go too far with it because they would make totally unbelievable. But yeah, I think it looked like me. So
yeah, spitting image.
Great. Yeah. Did you get a lot of feedback to that? What was that like?
Yeah, people liked it. I mean, people really enjoyed it. Again, it really does cause you to think about that issue, and I think a lot of people appreciated that. You know, I don't deserve that much credit because, as I said, I'm pretty comfortable with being naked in large groups. And the reaction was really positive from the vegans. And I think there were some people who weren't vegan who really took note and thought about it for a minute.
Yeah, and I think that campaign for a long time was criticized for being sexist, you know, and objectifying women. I mean, I don't see it that way. I see it as like those women are really empowered and they made a choice. But it was cool to see just, you know, a very different angle to that and you to defy that criticism. It was great.
Yeah, I was very happy to have the opportunity to do it as a male. That's interesting because I've never even considered that being sexist because the women who do it are so powerful and are so obviously doing it for animal rights and are really throwing that in the face of empty advertising through nudity. I mean, but we can deconstruct, you know, that patriarchy on a different topic of
whole other episode
podcast. That could go forever. But yeah, I was honored to be asked to do it as a male.
Let's transition into the really only the non-vegan animal rights question that we have on our agenda here, which is the new album that's coming out.
Yes.
It's called Bodies, right?
Yes.
And 2 songs have come out, Twisted Tongues and Escape from Los Angeles.
Escape from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 tracks.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many of the Chickpeeps. You know, there are a good amount who, when they found out that we were going to be interviewing you, were like, oh my God, I'm in the Despair faction, or, you know, this, then, and that. And so, what can you tell us about the new album? Can you share anything when it's coming out? Any, like, the feeling?
I can't tell you when it's coming out. I can tell you that it's coming this year.
Okay.
Sooner than later at this point. Yes, I think that's technically correct. Sooner than later. So this is the record that we've been sitting on for a long time. We wrote and recorded this album with intent of putting it out last year, and we were to be on tour last summer, right? Last fall. But of course, with the pandemic, those plans all changed. And there was a lot of deliberation between us and management as to whether we should put it out now, whether we should wait, whether we should have put it out a couple months ago, you know. And as a group, we decided that now was the time. And it's tough for me because personally, I create music with the hope of performing it, with the intent of performing it. So releasing music in a vacuum like this, which isn't quite a vacuum, but releasing music without the prospect of the ability to celebrate it and to realize it and actualize it with the tour that surrounds it, which again, for me, the songs are meant to be performed. They're created as a playbook. It's like, to me, this is the script without giving the speech. It's like I wrote a script and I can't give the speech. You can hear the speech maybe, or you can read the speech, or this is the book without the show. So this is the musical. You can read the book and there's no show, but maybe there's a soundtrack to it. So it's emotionally a difficult thing for me, especially because this is my favorite AFI record. This is my favorite AFI record. Yeah,
your favorite one.
Yeah, and that's common for me as we create new music, but for the new music to be my favorite. But this is the first AFI record that I personally have loved every song on, in well over 10 years.
Wow.
So I was very, very excited to release this record and go celebrate it and realize it in the way that it needs to be. And that's just not going to happen. So, but conversely, we are putting out the music and people do seem to be receiving it and enjoying it. I love the songs so very much. The 2 songs that have been released are included in that embrace that I have for the entire album, which is called Bodies. And I think we chose well in releasing these 2 songs because they show what I think AFI fans come to expect, the diversity of what you can expect on the record. The 2 songs are very different, but the album does have a greater dynamic to it as we usually do. It lives in the same world as Blood and Burials. I was speaking of it the other day on the Sirius radio show I do, Volume West, with Lindsay on Mondays, and I feel something internally tells me that it leans more towards Burials, but that might just be because I am focused on myself and that lyrically speaking, it leans more towards Burials than a Blood. But after I said that aloud, I thought about some of the songs and you can apply them to both, but it lives in the flow. It lives in that world, and the alliteration of the bodies, blood, burial may not have been purposeful, but it was likely intuitive. Nice. That it has that that monosyllabic and alliteration. That is alliteral a word? Alliteration is yeah. I know. Can you say alliteral? That's probably not a word. A literal flow.
That's nice.
I did. Yeah. I coined that. Trademark. Trademark. Lack of eloquence. Trademarked by me.
So that'll be out this year. And are you going to be touring with that album?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I really wish we could, but I suspect that there will be no touring in 2021.
Yeah.
I don't foresee that as being a safe possibility. So sadly, that would mean no tour. I don't know if I think if things become safe soon enough, I know if things become safe soon enough, we'll definitely tour it. It'd be my hope, but I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, somebody who's waited outside many a venue for AFI, the prospect of no tour with this album was definitely something that we felt as well. So
yeah,
we can all lament in our sadness together.
Yes.
So to wrap up, question we've been asking every guest this season, what have you gained from veganism?
Oh, so much. I'm so much healthier than my immune system, the way I feel, my performance increased, my physical performance in the gym, on stage. I'm a better singer because I have greater energy. I have better mental health than I did when I was consuming animal products. And that's not simply a biological effect, but an emotional effect because I know that what I'm consuming is not harming anyone. I'm not ingesting the death of an innocent creature. And back to what we were talking about before, I've gained a very, very strong community of friends who share similar beliefs. And most of my closest friends in the world who I would die for are vegan, and I've met them through that community. So it's given me so very much.
Oh, that's so radical. That's like everything.
Good way to end.
Oh, cool.
It's everything. Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great.
Thank you. Oh, Davey, thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time and with your spirit. And you're such a trailblazer just because of you're so authentic in everything you do. And I just feel really honored that you shared your time with us today. So
well, that's really kind. I'm very, very happy to be here, and it was a joy. I apologize for taking so much of your time. This, of course, is a topic that I'm passionate about, and I rarely get to speak
bumper
about.
episode.
Edit me down. Edit me down.
No. We're lucky. Thank you. This is awesome.
Well, thank you.
Oh, a great interview. Tyler, was that everything you expected?
This was a dream come true. Literally the highlight of my Chickpeeps career. I mean, just imagine, listeners, what it's like to, sit down and talk to somebody who has inspired your life so much. And, Davey inspiring me to, go vegan and get into animal rights when I was in high school has really set the trajectory for my entire career. And it's just being able to sit down and like talk to him about his influence is just amazing. Loved it. Thank you, Davey. This was amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Davey. Thank you for sharing your time. And it was really so sweet to see Tylor, to see you so excited. I love it. I love excited Tylor. So listeners, make sure you check out the show notes for links to follow Davey and AFI online.
And thank you so much to everyone who's been submitting entries to the Chickpeeps Treasure Hunt giveaway. We've really loved hearing from you, and so far everyone has given the correct answer, so good work, peeps.
Woo woo.
If you still want to enter the competition, you have until February 7th at 23:59 PST, that's California time, and you must listen to all of the January episodes to get your 5 clues. And we'll be announcing the winner on social media the following day, so good luck to you all.
And we wanted to say a big shout out to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting the show and for sharing all your spangly vegan goodness with us in the Discord. Quick reminder that we'll be doing our Veggie Witch live Discord hangout this Saturday on Zoom at 9 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. PST. So we look forward to seeing many of you there. And I wanted to give a special shout out to some of our wonderful Patreons, Austin, Connor, Kaylee, Lauren, Keith, and Dolph. Love you guys so much and thank you for helping us do what we do. So make sure you're following us on Chickpeeps Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and Chickpeeps Podcast on Facebook, and make sure you're subscribed to us on iTunes so you never miss an episode. Tylor, what a fun episode this was. Thank you so much. And if you wouldn't mind signing off for us.
Well, Chickpeeps, until next time, stay spangly and take your B12.